Well, if you've missed it, the ANC is preparing for its 110th anniversary celebrations in Polokwane this coming weekend. President Cyril Ramaphosa will outline the ANC's priorities in the annual January 8 statement. Let's talk about what those priorities should be with political analyst Rebone Tau. Rebone, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the program. So if you were to give advice to the ANC president and the NEC as this January 8 statement is crafted with the year that the party has had, what would you say should be top of mind?
Good evening to Tembile and good evening to the viewers. I think first and foremost, the problem that we are facing and the July riots have proven that the security in this country is a big problem. That should be a priority, because if you don't deal with the issue of security, it then delays the issue of also investors, investing in this country, because then the investor confidence is not there, because the country then is not stable. People can then come and invest in a country where the security is not secured, for their companies and so forth. So security should be high on the agenda. The youth unemployment should be high, second on the agenda, because we've seen also with COVID, how a lot of people have lost jobs, and the youth unemployment rate continues to rise. We know that now we're waiting for the matric results. Some of the students who were doing matric last year will not be going to varsity. They will be part of those who will be also unemployed for this year, and they will be part of those stats. So for me, right now, is the youth unemployment rate and the security should be high on the agenda for the ANC.
And in terms of people who've been saying the ANC should not even be having an event to begin with, because A, we're in a pandemic still, where large gatherings, though we're still allowed to gather about 2,000 people, are still not advised. You've got what government has termed the failed insurrection of July. You've got the unemployment you were referring to. How do they strike the right tone as a party?
I think I share the sentiments that the ANC was not supposed to have this January 8 statement rally. We saw in 2020 that they did have the January 8 statement. The president did communicate through different platforms, media platforms, through the social media platforms of the ANC. And you must remember also that this is not a new thing. During the era of apartheid, the then President General of the ANC, O.R. Tambo, did communicate with South Africans through Radio Freedom. So the ANC is at a point that also it needs to change with the times. Right now, you go into, as things happened yesterday, they were in Limpopo, and while the Constitutional Court is being vandalized, and that also is a threat to our constitution as the country. When you have the Constitutional Court being vandalized, leaders of the ANC are sitting in Limpopo. You've just had the parliament being banned. So at this present moment, as a nation, we are naked, and our leaders are just there celebrating. What are they celebrating? With the youth unemployment rate, with the country that its security is threatened on a day-to-day basis. We're being exposed, And then I'll give you an example. You look at the issue of Mozambique. We know that we've just recently lost a troop in Mozambique, right? We're part of the SADC peacekeeping mission. And if you remember, in 2020, there were threats that were made by ISS to South Africa, if that would go to Mozambique. Whether I'm not saying that we should not be involved in Mozambique, because we need peace, a stable region, either way. But we need also to make sure that the security of this country, citizens of this country, are protected. I can give another example. If you remember in Kenya, a few years back, how many Kenyans lost their lives when Al-Shabaab started attacking Nairobi and other towns?
And just on something else you were saying, I spoke earlier to Ronald Lamola, an ANC NEC member, and he said, this is not a party, it's basically a gathering where the ANC is going to come together, reflect, and basically get its marching orders. But I suppose also internally why there would be a face-to-face event, shall we call it, would be one that's that is quite crucial, shall we say, to the President Cyril Ramaphosa in a year where his leadership has been tested and challenged in some of the worst ways possible, and this would perhaps, for him and the current NEC, give them an opportunity, wouldn't it, to sort of strategically place themselves ahead, as it were, especially in a conference year?
The right of the matter that we must also be honest with ourselves. I've been seeing on social media, outside of the formal events, I know that there was also, I think tomorrow there might be a golf session with the president and some ministers playing golf to try and fundraise money for the ANC. Fine. But also on the sidelines, there are posters that are going around of parties that are going to happen, whether they're being hosted by the ANC or not, but they're being hosted in the name of the ANC, some of these parties that are taking place. And we don't need this opulence and flamboyant lifestyle, because wherever where the ANC has this anniversary rallies, we've always seen opulence and flamboyance, and that you go to the poor people and you are flamboyant and you're showing opulence.
Well, they're saying it's going to be a much more toned-down affair because among their problems currently is the money that's owed to the staff at Luthuli House.
Well, no one is disputing the money that is being owed to the staff at Luthuli House. And I think let me start by saying that this is not the first time the ANC is hosting a rally of, in a particular province as they celebrate the January 8 statement. But it shows that the ANC alone, in terms of its finances, they are a mess, and I don't think that by holding a rally to solve their problems. You must remember again, this is the year of the ANC conference, right? Mm-hmm. The ANC has not held its National General Council. They need to host the National General Council. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but also the ANC normally in June it hosts the policy conference. So there will be, yes, a lot of money that is needed. I don't think that by having that one event will solve their financial problems. But at this present moment, the reality of the matter that there are side events that are happening, whether they're being hosted by the ANC leadership, but these side events are hosted in the name of the ANC.
You could also argue, Rebone, that by not hosting the event, that doesn't mean that the issues of poverty in this country will be addressed by the 9th of January. That doesn't mean that we'll be a more secure country as far as intelligence services are concerned. That doesn't mean many of the other problems you've outlined would be fixed just because there wasn't a lavish party held, which they say it's not going to be, by the way. They're saying they're only going to have 2,000 people. It'll be much smaller than what we're used to. But again, still, the point I'm making is, even if it doesn't happen, we'll still have the same problems.
No, I fully agree with you. Whether you have the party but also you minimize the cost, because you must remember that either way, those people, most of them will not be driving themselves. Some of them will be ferried by buses to the stadium. Those are financial implications that the ANC will be also gating into. That stadium where they are hosting the event, I'm not sure if they're getting it for free or they're paying, you understand? In terms of the system, the monarchy that they've put up, they need to put up a system. That is money that you need to pay people, service providers that will be there. That's the fact of the matter.
Rebone Tau, good to speak to you. Thank you very much for your time tonight.